Hello and welcome everybody to Flicker Effect episode 266. We're recording this on Labor Day, Monday, September 3rd, 2018. We're also recording this from Atlanta, from the end of DragonCon 2018. Yeah, it's over. My name, by the way, is David Lott. Joining me for this little kind of special podcast is Michelle Hillard. What's up?
Hi, everybody. Hello, David. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Long time no see.
It's been a while. So yeah, we've officially made it to the end of DragonCon. It's been over for 20 minutes now.
So now you've come to DragonCon. This is what, your sixth DragonCon?
I think. I'm having a hard time remembering like what year the first year I came was.
And this is the very first time you've closed it out completely.
Yeah, DragonCon's always been odd in that, you know, most conventions, they seem to either just be on the weekend or maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday when you get even bigger. Because it's Labor Day weekend, DragonCon has always been Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Right.
But you know, driving up here from Orlando, I've noticed most other people tend to, at least those of us who are out of towners, it seems, that are staying in the con hotels. I've always checked out of my hotel Monday morning and just went ahead and drove back. I didn't really ever do anything on Monday for con. I think I went to the vendor hall once for a little bit, like before I left, but that was the first time I've been here for the very, very end. It's kind of weird, and we're still here for the night. And it's not a bad thing. It's just different.
It's different. Yeah. This is only my third time coming to DragonCon, and it's only my second time really being here for the entirety of the con. The very first time I came, it was a very quick 2-day thing. So, but it's interesting to be here on the last day, because even last year, it was Monday. We were packing and we were trying to fight the herd down the elevators at the Marriott to get into our vehicle to head home to Orlando. And this year, because we're staying tonight, you know, we woke up, we went and had a nice breakfast, and we watched everybody else check out of their hotels, and we've slowly watched the city like filter out and empty out. And it's kind of sad. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I think that's the part of it that's odd. You're like kind of watching DragonCon die. It's like a slow death of it. Yeah, normally like for instance, going to San Diego, the only other thing I have really to compare it to. Yeah. Going to San Diego for Comic-Con, you know, you're there until the end on Sunday and it's packed. And then, when it ends, it's basically a mass flood of people just kind of leaving the convention center. Yeah. And they're all going to their hotel rooms and, you know, maybe they're all staying there Sunday night and checking out Monday. But basically the con ends and everyone kind of leaves as one almost. Yeah, everybody leaves as one big group from the convention center there. But because this one is, the hotels are in theory spread out, we are all in this one section of downtown Atlanta. And so to see basically the downtown of Atlanta, you know, explode to like 10,000 people in this one very teeny tiny square mile area, right, to watch it empty out, it's like watching a town die. Like, it's literally like, I guess never mind that it's still like a major metropolitan city that is operating, but I get what you're saying. Yeah. And so, I mean, I guess it's the equivalent of like when I hear people talk about going to Burning Man, which was also this weekend, over this past week and this weekend, right. People talk about how it's the last day of Burning Man, and that's the whole symbolism of the Burning Man is, you know, like death and rebirth almost, you know. It's the end of that cycle of that trip. People there, you know, you literally watch this little city that had risen up in the desert completely fade off into existence. And I kind of feel like that happened here today. It was kind of like this slow, like, dying of a city. It was weird. But overall, I will say today was a really good day. It was a nice day. It was lovely. It was, but yeah, it's weird that there's still events going on. There's technically still a con until 5, which is a normal time, you know, pretty normal hours for the last day of a con is what I'm trying to say. But yet, when you're used to the rest of the weekend, you're trying to walk on the main like lobby floors of the hotels, and it's packed, and there's tons of cosplayers out, and tons of people taking pictures of the cosplayers, and it's just a big
vent, and then for today to still, oh well, technically the con is still going on, but it doesn't feel like it. It felt like it had already ended.
Yeah, like last night was the farewell night.
Yeah, it felt like as you're walking around today in the middle of the day, when officially the con is still happening, but it feels like it's already over.
Because everybody's got their luggage and they've got their coolers and they're checking out of the hotel and there's build carts everywhere. Like nobody's really wearing anything. Everybody just looks tired.
There's a handful of cosplayers here and there. We saw even a couple pretty good ones today, but a handful of those kind of holding on still. Kind of walking around today cosplaying, but not much. It was pretty dead, and that's the weird part about it is when you're like, but it's still happening. And we even went to a couple of panels today.
Yeah, I mean, we walked to the what is it? The floor, the Hall of Fame.
The Walk of Fame, they call it. Yeah, DragonCon calls it the Walk of Fame, where all of the celebrities have their
signings.
Booths, tables for doing like signings and
we saw some people. It was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Evangeline Lilly was there.
Yeah, Evangeline Lilly was there.
I don't think she wasn't here yesterday, right?
I think she was still at the con in Canada.
No, I think she was here yesterday.
I think she got here yesterday afternoon.
I think she did get here yesterday. She had a panel yesterday. She had a panel today. I think it was Karen Gillan that may have only been here today.
Karen Gillan got here just today.
She was here today. We didn't see her on the Walk of Fame. We saw Palm, and I'm not going to even try to say her last name.
I never can say her last name.
Who plays Mantis and in Guardians and Infinity War. We saw her on the floor. We saw Benedict Wong.
Yeah, we did see Benedict Wong. We were pretty close to him.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
It was cool.
And
Walter Koenig from
Star Trek.
From Star Trek. Chekhov.
Yep, he was out there.
Mr. Chekhov himself.
By the way, this is going to be totally distracting. We have DragonCon TV on in the background as we're recording this. I don't know what is happening right now with gremlins.
There are gremlins tearing up a hotel room.
It's pretty hilarious.
It's pretty funny.
We'll get to DragonCon TV in a second. But anyway, yeah. No, that was cool walking the Walk of Fame. We did a couple panels. We did a panel, the only one I got a chance to do this year. I say get a chance. I could have done more if I wanted to. But the only panel I did on the space track this year, and that was pretty cool. It was actually their last panel of the year, so it was kind of their send-off panel. And it was about the future of exploration. It had I don't remember their names. I don't have them in front of me, but a couple people that work in the industry kind of talking about upcoming missions and hopes and even stuff beyond that. And
basically the hopes of space exploration and what we possibly could be seeing in the next realistically 100 years of our human existence exploring space.
Right. And then it's funny when we're just talking about how the con already feels like it had died. There's not a lot of activity, but then we go to this panel on the space track, and yes, it's the space track. It's not going to have as big of a room as some of the more popular tracks at DragonCon, but yet the room was literally filled to capacity.
It was filled.
They were filling single seats right up until probably halfway through the panel, but it was filled.
It was a full room.
So that was cool.
It was cool.
And then we did their DragonCon's version of the talkback panel that we're used to from San Diego,
right.
But here they call it the closing ceremonies.
Yeah, and it's just what went well, what maybe didn't go well, feedback from people that attended, and you kind of are talking to people that are pretty high up in the organization of DragonCon.
But anyway, we've been kind of yapping about our last day at DragonCon. Overall, Michelle, how was your
I was supposed to ask you. We should talk about the whole con. We should talk about Thursday.
I got to it first. I beat you to it.
Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday.
I mean, we don't have to, do a whole play-by-play of everything we did. But overall, how was your con?
Overall, I had a really nice con. I think it was my more laid-back cons in that I wasn't partying quite as hard as I have in the past. But at the same time, I feel like I got a lot more quality, like people watching this year, which was nice. I don't know. It's kind of like there's a balance to it all. And I think I ascertained a pretty good balance this year, truth be told. But no, I will also say, I like that DragonCon, so this year they officially made this year a Thursday, the first day of con. So con actually goes Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. 5 full days.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's always been the kind of I think behind the scenes on social media, everyone that goes to DragonCon is like, come on, it starts on Thursday, even though officially it didn't start till Friday. But badge pickup was always on Thursday, and there was already people just kind of partying Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
So I think to everyone else, it was like, we start this on Thursday, and now this was the first year that officially it did. And I mean, I don't think the first panels were till like early in the afternoon. It wasn't like Thursday morning, boom, there's panels.
No, I think the official opening was at 3 p.m. on Thursday.
Yeah,
so basically
the opening ceremonies.
Right. So like basically hotel check-ins started Thursday, and badge pickup starts at noon.
I think so.
On Thursday.
Something like that.
So yeah, and there's a few panels on Thursday, but there's already parties on Thursday night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like DragonCon parties Thursday night, ready to go. Party it up. Let's do this.
And then some of those parties were last year too, but for some reason they weren't officially starting on Thursday until this year. So
well, they officially started this year.
Yeah, I get what you're saying with this year being seems overall a little more chill, less partying, I guess, at least by us. I think the big factor there being where we're staying. We're not staying in technically a host hotel this year.
Yeah.
And for those who aren't aware, never been to DragonCon, I mean, I know we've talked about it on the podcast before, but DragonCon is different from a lot of conventions in that it doesn't take place in a convention center. At least a lot of the conventions I've been to. I'm sure there's others that take place in hotels like this. You know, I don't know. But anyway, this one takes place in 5 host hotels and also in what's called the America's Mart here in Atlanta, which is basically a little convention space.
It's like a shopping center vendor space.
Yeah. And that is the area they use for their exhibit floor / vendor hall.
Right.
It's over there in the America's Mart. But otherwise, all of the panels are in the hotels. Everyone that is here attending the con makes an effort to try to stay in the host hotels, which sell out very quickly, and they sell out very early. Like there's already host hotels. Well, a couple they do legacy bookings, so they're practically mostly booked already right now.
Right, they opened up bookings today for next year, and they're already done.
And then I remember like last year, I think the Westin started booking like the same week after con was over. So the Westin will probably go ahead and start booking soon. Marriott usually books sometime in October, I think. But yeah, we're not staying in a host hotel this year. We're staying in a hotel a couple blocks away.
Not far at all.
Oh, not far at all. We're still basically in the middle of everything, but it's still, there's something about it that feels slightly different. When you're used to having always stayed in a host hotel where you are literally in the middle of it. Like when we've stayed in the Marriott, and if you're not familiar with the Marriott Marquis in Atlanta, it's huge hotel that is it's open in the center of the building.
It's an open air atrium.
Yeah, and even when you're in your room with the partying happening downstairs, a lot of times you can hear it depending on how low of a floor you're staying in. And you just feel like you're in the middle of it. And, you know, you want to make a drink in your room and just go downstairs and walk around with it. Not a problem. Like, and you want to go back upstairs, refresh, go back downstairs. Like, you're just kind of always in the con.
You're always in the con. You're always in the party. You're always amongst the cosplayers and the people. Like, you're always a part of the entity that is DragonCon.
So yeah, this year we stayed at a different hotel a couple blocks away, and yeah, again, super close. Like a ton of people are staying in our hotel that are going to con.
Almost this entire hotel is con goers, and even then, it's not even just con goers. It's there's exhibitors that are here, and there are artists that are here, and there are actors that are here in our hotel. So we're in a cool hotel for different reasons. Yeah, it's like,
since it's not a host hotel, it still feels slightly disconnected, but it's been great. I have no complaints for the most part about where we're staying, but I think there's just something about not being right there all the time. When you're staying, again, using the Marriott as an example, when you're staying there, it's easy to just feel more inspired to just be like, all right, I'm just gonna have another drink and get back out there and.
Right.
Because I can hear it happening. Like, there it is,
you
downstairs.
hear it going on 3 a.m., 4 a.m.
Right.
It gets a little quiet around 5 or 6, but then it picks right back up around 8 or 9. Like, it's... Anyways, no, I
think that's the big reason I feel like for us this year it was a little more chill. And I'm not having any complaints. Like, this year was great.
But at the same time, I think I made more of an effort to go to the floors and to walk the floors and to see the cosplayers. Like I made more of an effort to pay more attention to it in a weird way.
Yeah, this year for me was I spent more time on the vendor floor than I ever have.
Oh yeah.
Which has been great. A couple years ago, they moved it to the America Smart. It used to be, well, no, it was in the America Smart before when I was coming here, but it was in a different building of the America Smart, and it was like split up into these odd kind of 3 rooms that were, one was above the other and then the other one was on the other side of the hallway, and
that's just too much.
It was just a weird setup that was not, it did not flow well. It was hard to walk around and get in and out of the rooms. It was bad. You never experienced that.
Oh, thank God.
And
I'm in the golden age.
You are in the golden age of the DragonCon vendor floor, because now it's amazing. And then this year they actually even widened the aisles a little bit compared to last year or two, and that was even better. And so yeah, I spent a lot more time
I liked
just
it being all in one building. I like that it's 3 floors of vendors. Like, you go to Comic-Con in San Diego, and on one side of the spectrum, it's amazing because it is literally this entirely huge ballroom from one end of the convention center to basically the other end of the convention center, if you minus Hall H, basically. That is San Diego. So it's this one gigantic thing. It's like football fields. Mm-hmm. Here, it's like a football field on top of a football field on top of a football field, which is cool. And then this year they did the really awesome part, and I'm really glad they did this. They moved the artist alley that used to be in a hotel, which was really teeny tiny and tight and hard.
Yeah, it was a lot smaller
to get around. It was really small and really you weren't really getting like one-on-one with people, and they moved it to another floor of the America's Mart. And so it took up its own little football field, and I was like, this is pretty sweet to just be able to just ride up an escalator and keep shopping and go up another escalator and just keep on going.
Oh, they were obviously able to have way more artists at Artist Alley than I've ever seen.
So many more artists.
And for me, Artist Alley is my dangerous place. And it's funny, I didn't spend much time up there this year, but because I knew if I did, I would spend way more money than I needed to. But yeah, that was really great. If you're the kind of person like me that loves checking out Artist Alley and finding new artists and buying some art, there was way more artists here than there normally has been, and that was cool. And
it's nice because it was so spread out. Like, people they got to really expand their booths, even because the artist section in San Diego, their booths are a little tighter. They're basically a table.
Yeah.
And here they were getting like 2 full tables. Like, they were getting more area for their own things. Mm-hmm. And it just didn't feel as crowded. And I felt like if you really enjoyed an artist, you were really able to like take your time with them and talk to them. And it was just nice. Like, it didn't feel as huddled and as like, I don't know. It was nice. I liked it a lot. I was very pleased with it. I really like that decision they made. But they've done a lot of really awesome stuff to DragonCon this year that I think were good pluses. I mean, there's things that are just with DragonCon are not going to change because there's so many people and there's so many small spaces and there's only so much you can do to change things. And in a way, I'm okay with it. It's part of the experience. You just roll with the punches and go. But I think the parties were okay this year. I feel like they're very similar to each other, no matter which one you go to, no matter which night. They try to theme them, but I think it's difficult because since it's open to anybody to go to, you're going to, the last party in Alderaan, you're hoping it's basically just full people in Star Trek stuff or Star Wars stuff. And it's a mishmash of everybody. And on one side, that's awesome. On the other side, you don't really get this feeling like this is a Star Wars party. Like,
yeah,
do you know what I mean?
And you and I have talked about this a lot this weekend.
It's been a thing.
It's been a thing for us, and yeah, I want to say for whatever reason, this con, the theming of the parties has started to kind of annoy me a little bit, like because we've visited a lot more, I think, of the parties just to kind of see how they are this year, and yeah, so every night there are themed parties. Starting Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. And yeah, a lot of the tracks will host a party. So Star Wars track will have a Star Wars party. Star Trek track will have a Trek party. And they all have, Star Wars is called Last Party on Alderaan. Great name. Right. And yeah, there's a ton of these. And to me, when I'm imagining, okay, cool, I'm going to the last party on Alderaan, it's going to be a Star Wars party. And sure, they're not set up where you have to be like in costume for that fandom to go in. No, not at all. Like anybody could go in there wearing whatever the costume they want, or not even a costume, t-shirt and shorts. That's totally cool. I don't expect that. I don't expect like, oh wow, like the majority of people in here are Star Wars fans, but I would expect some more theming in the room. I mean, I get that it's only for the one night for a few hours, but I'd like to think maybe for an hour or two beforehand, it could be some setup of something in the room to make it Star Wars.
Right.
Like, and then, you know, a lot of these bigger parties in the bigger rooms have screens set up where they're projecting either visuals or, you know, stuff to go with the music the DJ's playing, and, you know, maybe involve like some Star Wars footage in it. The funny thing is, we went into the last party on Alderaan and they were using movie footage. Not any of the movie footage I saw was from Star Wars.
Not a single frame.
There was footage from Alien, from Beetlejuice. I'm trying to think off the top of my head what some of the stuff I saw was, but like it was kind of, you know, the DJ, I guess, was making it work with the music and such, but it was like, what? Like, you could have done this with Star Wars footage. You could have done something with projecting some like Star Wars logos on the walls. I mean, I'm just trying to think of some random stuff off the top of my head, but come on, like something to make this a Star Wars party. And I would say almost every party we went to had that problem where it was just a generic party with a DJ, some lighting, and that's it.
Yeah, you would never know you were in a themed party. Ever. Yeah. Basically, this whole weekend, you would never know you were in a themed party. Like when we went to Bunny Hutch, which is Thursday night, and it's basically kind of like the Playboy Mansion in a way. Basically, it's people wearing, you know, corsets and bunny ears, and they're all in cute kind of sexy clothes, but they're themed clothes. They're cosplay. So you're looking at sexy R2-D2. You're looking at I mean, just think of a character that you fanboy or girl about and basically make it a sexy version of that thing. And so that's what people are walking around as. So in a way, that party, people show up dressed. And so it's really fun in that way. Yeah,
that party is, that's like the big effort there, is that people are wanting to go to that with that costume in mind, you know? So that's the party. Like, they don't even need to really do anything.
But I mean, it'd be cool if they had like bubble machines or something, or better lighting that was more hip. Like, I don't know. It could have been cooler, and there could have been, the music could have been a little bit better. But then it's like, so then the next night you go to a party that is 10 forward, the Star Trek party. And you walk in and they've got a few cardboard cutouts of some major Star Trek characters that you know. Yeah,
put cards up there and, you know, whatever. A couple
that's it.
And that's it.
It's a room with a DJ and a bar in one corner and a projection that wasn't even doing anything. And that's it. And then we went next door to the very first year for the Game of Thrones party. Ooh. And we walk into the Game of Thrones party, and there's a bar in the corner, a DJ on the other end, and there's nothing in the room but people. And it's like...
Not only that, but there were like colored balloons at the tables, and I'm like...
But there's nothing to differentiate that party from 10 forward. And then you go to Alderaan and there's no Star Wars stuff. And it's just, there's nothing to differentiate any of these parties other than the name of the party. Yeah. And it's frustrating because it's like, if I go into Game of Thrones, I want to see house banners up on the wall.
I want to see the Iron Throne up on stage. I want to see the
fucking Iron Throne so I can go sit on it with a cocktail and make a funny face, take a picture. I want music that's going to be kind of a little weird, a little different. It doesn't have to be the cool hip shit that I listened to in the 80s and the 90s. I want something
with this said,
is in theming of a way, and I want to focus on the parties the whole time. But it's just, I don't know. It just is a thing.
With that said, when it comes to the Game of Thrones party, I hope they continue that. I think that's a good idea for a party.
Spectacular idea for a party.
Keep working on it and make it better. And there's some exceptions for me. Like, there's always the Spectrum party, which is the LGBTQ party. And I mean, I feel like that's always one of the better parties. We stepped in there for a little bit. That was pretty good.
There's always lights and neon, and everybody's got glow in the dark stuff. It's insanely dark because there's so many people with glow.
Yeah.
There's so much glow, which is fun. That's the point. I mean,
And then the other party that I've always attended that to me is the glaring exception to everything we're talking about right now is the Mechanical Masquerade, which is Sunday night, which is the steampunk party.
Right.
And yes, I do have a steampunk costume. You do as well.
Yep.
And, I always like going to that party. And that, I will say, of all the con parties I have attended, and again, there may be exceptions, parties I have not been to.
Right.
For anyone listening, please let me know what the parties I need to go to. But Mechanical Masquerade really does make it steampunk.
Like, you feel like
you've got dancers on stage that are in steampunk dress, and you've got the DJ with a setup that his computer looks steampunk, and his headphones look steampunk, and they've got some other decor on the stage that is steampunk, and the
projections.
The biggest key for me is the music they are playing.
Yes,
it is dance music, but it is very relevant to, I guess is the best way to put it. It fits the steampunk.
It's in the theming of steampunk way of existence.
Right.
It is quirky, and it's kind of like taking modern music and making it turn of the century. And when I say turn of the century, I'm talking about 18 to 19, early 1900s.
That century.
that century. And so it's interesting. It's cool. Like, I don't know. It's nifty and it's fun, and I love that. And I love that party makes you feel like you're really enveloped in the theme of it, and that's what makes that party so much fun. And I just wish the others would follow suit. Yeah,
I wish the other parties would make a better effort to do that. I mean, and there's no doubt this year when we went to the closing ceremonies, they gave us a link for a survey. I've never filled out a survey for DragonCon before, and I intend on doing that. Plus, in the DragonCon app, you can go to each panel that you attended and basically give them notes for that specific panel. And those parties are basically listed like panels. So I will go probably to each one of those parties and say, like, great, this is cool that you guys are doing a party. I love Star Wars. I love Star Trek. I love all these other things. Like, can you do something to make it like something to feel like it's part of your theme?
Right. Like actually make it part of the theme of the title of the party you're throwing.
Right.
What a crazy
I don't
idea.
know. That's one thing that, it's been a big thing with us this weekend. We've been talking about it a lot. So, I
digress. There are other things that happen at DragonCon. Like there's panels.
There are some.
There are panels on different tracks. And you and I went to one about podcasting to try to enhance our skills.
We did. There's a whole podcasting track.
Yes.
And that's another thing to bring up quickly. I mean, we don't have to get into the 101s of DragonCon, but anyone who is listening to this has never been. There's the panels are divided into fan tracks. This is a very fan-run con. It's
totally.
Almost completely volunteer run.
It's by the people for the people. By the geeks for the geeks, by the nerds for the nerds.
Track directors are, eventually appointed for these tracks, and those track directors have to basically come up with their own kind of panel schedule and
people.
And I mean, there's a wide variety of topics. Like I said, we went to a space track panel today. There's a science track. There's a podcasting track. There's a track for. There used to be a Whedonverse track. There's not anymore. And that's the first thing that popped in my head.
But there's one just for Star Trek. There's one just for
Star Wars. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on and on. There's a lot of tracks.
Like the steampunk is alternative history.
Yeah, that's what they call their track.
Called. And
Filk has a track. I don't know what Filk stands for. Or no, Filk doesn't stand for anything. It was I've heard the story where that came from. But that's basically like music and the kind of world of geek culture, I guess you could say.
Right.
Anyway, there's a lot of different tracks. We went to a podcast track panel. We saw John Barrowman's panel.
We did see John Barrowman's panel.
Yeah, we missed that in San Diego.
Yeah.
The cool thing is he gets a much bigger room here at DragonCon than he gets in San Diego.
Fills it.
And he fills it. And
easily fills it. People were probably turned away from going into this room. And he had this. It is a gigantic ballroom. It's the ballroom where they do the 3 a.m. raves in.
Yeah.
And it is
basically the biggest room here at Con.
It is the biggest ballroom. I think it is officially the biggest ballroom that they have for the convention. And he easily fills it. Easily. And people love him, and we love him, and he loves us. And it's just one big love fest in that room. And it's a hilarious love fest.
Yeah, that was good. He always does a good show. And I'm glad he still comes here. And
And he has a lot of fun. He loves his fans.
Oh yeah.
And
if you follow him on social media, on Instagram, I mean,
he's awesome.
He's awesome.
It's always a good one to go to. I was really glad we got in, and we had really good seats, I think, for the most part, for waiting in that very large line for as long as we did.
Yeah, that was another. If I had a nitpicky thing that I was going to bring up at closing ceremonies today, which I did not, but I will bring it up in the survey.
I was going to say it was one thing I was thinking too.
Is that when it comes to the whole like lining up for events, I get that they have a challenge with the space that they have to line people up for, say, the Marriott atrium room that we're talking about, where Behrman was.
And the way the hotel's laid out.
But I always hear, I'm always hearing about this con that you're not officially allowed to line up for a panel until like basically the beginning of the panel before it, like one panel beforehand.
1 hour basically.
But then like we still got an hour and a half before Behrman, and there was already a huge line. And I'm like, so this is completely going against everything I've heard that you don't allow lines to form like this, but yet there is one right here. And yeah, the other thing to remember is that they empty the big rooms anyway. They empty the rooms after each panel, which is
not like in San Diego.
Not like San Diego at all. San Diego, if you want to sit through a bunch of other panels to wait for your panel, you can do that. Basically, claim your spot. But no, they don't do that here. For the big panel rooms, where obviously these rooms are going to fill, and these are popular panels, they empty the panel room after each panel. It's their way of kind of making it as they feel like fair for everyone.
Yeah, and I think it's a smart way, to be honest.
I think it is. I mean, I could hear the arguments of, well, what if I want to go to two panels that are back to back in the same room? I mean, to be fair to everyone, it's kind of like, well, you kind of have to make a choice then.
You need to pick which one's just ever so slightly more important to you.
Which one is more important to you, and that's the one you go to.
Right. Now, side note, so DragonCon runs a channel in the host hotels called DragonCon TV, and it's basically kind of like their version of Saturday Night Live 24/7. They basically make weird little videos and content, and there's little jokes, and it's all nerdy, geeky stuff. It's all fabulous. Basically, we have it running when we're here. When you're in the hotel room, it's basically what's on TV.
Yeah, to me, that's always been part of the experience. Is like I just have it on in the hotel room all the time.
Right.
Like I don't watch anything else. Like,
right.
I can watch other things when I'm at home. When I'm here, it's like part of the atmosphere is I have DragonCon TV on the TV.
It is. It puts you in the mood.
Yeah, and then they broadcast a lot of the panels, like the panels in the big rooms,
which is awesome.
They'll live stream them to DragonCon TV, and if you're like, I either just couldn't get into that room, or I didn't want to wait in the line. Like
we needed a break yesterday, and we sat and we watched the Stranger Things panel from the live stream, because it was just like, I just need a break. I can't, but I want to watch this panel. Oh, look, I can just watch this panel because it's in the big ballroom. So here's where my side note comes in. This entire time we've been recording this show, they've been cycling the signal of gremlins laughing and tearing apart a hotel room.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is like a common thing at the end of con that they do this.
Like just to be funny?
I've never been here for the end.
Like, haha, suckers, you're still watching this shit?
I guess DragonCon TV's way of being like, okay, the con's over, is that they have this loop of these gremlins laughing with badges hanging from their ears, and they're in a hotel room that they've destroyed, and I've been trying to figure out what they're watching in the background. It's hilarious.
We've been talking for I don't even know how long. And basically, this loop of gremlins is just laughing at us. We're sitting here making this recording, and these gremlins are laughing at us. I'm just sorry. It's just funny.
Awesome.
It's pretty awesome. I'm gonna give my hats off to them.
This is the first year I paid for the streaming membership, and this I want to bring up is definitely, I think, important for anyone who has not been to DragonCon before, and you don't know if you're going to make it to Atlanta, but you kind of want to experience DragonCon for the weekend. Mm-hmm. You can buy a streaming membership without a badge.
Yes,
it's $30 for the weekend, or actually for 3 months.
3 months.
3 months after con is over, you still have access to all of this on-demand content of all the panels that they have recorded from that con.
Right.
And all these other skits and stuff, I assume. I don't know. This will be my first time experiencing the streaming membership after con. But yeah, because we're not in a host hotel and we don't get DragonCon TV on our in-room television.
Right. As we would if we'd stayed in a host, like the Marriott or the Hyatt or the Hilton.
So I paid for the streaming membership, which for members is $10. And
you have badges.
I paid for the streaming membership, and I've been having it playing on the computer when we've been in the room. And
right.
It's been great. I've been pretty happy with it. It's been,
that was awesome.
Because at first when we got here to our non-host hotel, and I realized there was no DragonCon TV.
It's a partnered hotel.
Yeah, but it's not a host hotel, technically.
It's not a host.
I'm not trying to... I like our hotel. I haven't even said what hotel it is. I like our hotel.
I know.
But yeah, when I found out there was no DC-TV, I'm like, oh, man.
We both were a little crushed. It was a little
that's really like
soul-crushing.
a big part of my experience with Con is that there's no DC-TV. Like, oh, man, I was so bummed.
Like, we got to the room and we kind of like, oh, the room's great, blah, blah, blah. We kind of, you put your stuff on one side, I put my stuff on the other side, and then we kind of fixed the coolers and got the bar ready. And then it was like, okay, let's turn the TV on. Like, that was literally like step number 2, turn on the TV and put DragonCon TV on. And we both were flipping through the channel going, oh, crap, I don't think it's on this TV. Oh, my God. DragonCon TV is not on our TV.
Yeah, I was bummed. But then I had heard about the streaming option and... yeah, tried it. It's been great.
But what's great about it is, like, there was a panel today with Karen Gillan that I'd like to watch. And we missed it today because we did another panel and we had other things we wanted to do, which is totally fine. Mm-hmm. But, like, later this week, we could pull it up on the streaming service and we can go to that panel and watch it. And that's really kind of cool. Yeah, no, I think it's really cool. And I definitely, if for some reason one year I'm not going to come to DragonCon, say next year, who knows when. If there's a year I weren't going to come to DragonCon for whatever reason, but I was just going to be around the house all day or all weekend. It's like Labor Day weekend.
I basically guarantee you I will still get a streaming membership, and that's all that will be on TV that weekend. It'll be my way of experiencing Con without being there.
Give you a little taste.
Yeah, and Bobby and Yasha, we've been bugging them like, hey, you guys got to come out.
Yeah.
But if say next year neither of them or one of them can't come out, I'd be like, dude, Bobby, do the streaming membership. Like, just basically experience it all weekend. See what it's like. So to go back to answering your question about what my favorite part of Con was. I don't think I asked that, but sure. Yeah. So, no, you did. You asked me. I just asked how your Con was. Oh, well, my Con was good. So then I'll ask you, what's your favorite part of Con this year? Oh, my favorite. See, now you're asking me. I don't know. TikTok. My favorite. I mean, the Barrowman panel was great. Didn't end on a great note, but it was good. That is a whole nother conversation. That was a whole nother thing. I'll have to agree. The Barrowman panel was that was probably my favorite highlight. Mechanical Masquerade was great. I always liked that party. That was fun. Yeah, and Bunny Hutch was good. We were hoping to do Bunny Hutch costumes, and we did not. I know. I feel really lame because last year was the first year we went, and you were like, "This is amazing! This party is awesome! I am totally gonna be ready for this next year." There are bunny Borgs running around. There's bunny Jessica Rabbits, which is easily understandable. There's bunny kids from Hogwarts. There's bunnies of all kinds of geeky, awesome bunnies versions of them everywhere. There's bunny Daft Punks running around. It was cool. I was like, this is fun. This is such a cool idea. Like, and we let the whole year go and we did nothing. I did nothing. But the party was still great. It was still a good time. It still was a fun party. I will say that's a fun party. Just seeing the way people either alter a costume they've already done to fit the Bunny Hutch theme or make something specific for Bunny Hutch. And that was good. I mean, I don't know if I could pinpoint a favorite thing from this weekend, but I mean, you liked it. DragonCon's good. I think for me, DragonCon is going to be probably for at least a long time, it's going to be my go-to con. Like, for instance, I mean, we've said before, I don't know that you and I are going to make it to San Diego next year. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? We'll see, but there's a good chance, at least, thinking about San Diego, I could see that turning into an every other year event for me. As much as I absolutely love going there and I love Comic-Con. But for me, it's like DragonCon's already on a long weekend. It's much closer to home. You can drive up here, I can drive back, and I could easily come to DragonCon and maybe only take like one day off work. And I see that I will probably continue to come to DragonCon every year for the foreseeable future. As long as I can. It's a nice weekend, and if I could afford an Eternal badge, I would buy one. Which, by the way, those exist. You can buy a badge for DragonCon, and if you have the money to buy an Eternal badge, you will never have to buy a badge again. You will be for life. An Eternal member. And that's the key here. They call it a member. You're buying a membership to the convention. Right. That's the badge. And yeah, I guess, I mean, the eternal membership is kind of always, there's points where they always raise the price of it. I don't think they announce it ahead of time that they're going to do so. I'm curious to know. I think I've heard in the past like what it used to cost, but it's up there now. It's like $2,500. But if you think about it, if you're a certain age, like if I were in my early 20s right now, and I was, you know, thinking, man, this is amazing, I'm going to be coming here for a long time. You do the math. Well,
no, you do the math.
And it gives you some perks. I think there's an Eternals lounge that's only Eternals can access.
Yes.
You get your own registration check-in table where there's probably going to be absolutely zero line because I don't even know how many Eternal members there even are. I just imagine there's not a ton.
Right. It's probably just one booth, one little line.
One little booth.
It's probably just one person that works it. It's been working it for the 32 years it's been in existence. And she's like, hey, George, it's good to see you again this year. I missed you. How are the kids? That's cool. It's good, good.
Yeah, no,
it's probably very personal level.
If I were much younger, I'd be like, that might be worth the investment.
Much younger. You big old fogey.
Oh, man.
I'm saying that sarcastically.
Jeez, that hurt.
Oh, you're saying it like if I was younger, maybe it would work out mathematically
but
now.
But you get what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying.
I mean, sure, I could probably still do the math and go, well, if I really plan on coming
forever,
15, 20 more years, then yeah, I might as well get one. But let's all calm down. I mean, who knows what will be happening then.
Life is life.
Yeah. No, I think I'll just keep buying my badges every year.
But it's fun. I like DragonCon. I don't know. It's like you do a lot of walking. You're constantly doing stuff. There's always something to look at, see, and or do or experience. And at the same time, like I don't feel burnt out by any of it.
Yeah,
which is surprising.
There's an atmosphere about the attendees here. It feels like you're part of a family here almost.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's something definitely different and special about DragonCon. And not that I've been to a ton of other cons, but I've been to a few, and this is not anything like I've experienced anywhere else. And I
think it's just because they understand the con goer. You know, these are people that cherish fandoms that might not even be a very large fandom. They have much smaller fandoms here. They have fandoms for things that are tiny, and you'll meet people within it that you might not have met, or maybe you only know each other through like an online forum, and now you're going to meet face to face, and then you're both going to go to the autograph signing of a person that's there, like the writer of the book that you love, or the person who's the character of the show you love. You know, like it's everybody kind of coming together within your own fandom, but also celebrating other people's fandoms. Like you're like, I have no idea what that thing is. What is that? Oh, that's cool. You like that thing? That's awesome. Go you. I'm glad you found something in the world that you love that much. That's awesome. I have a thing too. And everybody has a thing. Everybody respects each other's things. And that's what I think is nice. Nobody there's no like wars against who's better than who. I don't know. It's a very personable like con. Like, not that the others aren't personable. Just, I don't know. You just feel like we all understand each other on some level. Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
No, it's great. So I can't recommend it enough. And if you haven't been, you should go. And it's funny. Week. I don't know. You hear I listen to some podcasts that talk about the con before it comes up, and I hear a lot of the complaints of, oh man, it's like basically still the end of summer in Atlanta. It's so hot. And I don't know. I mean, sure, it's hot.
I guess, yeah, but I will say, like,
but the past few years that I've been here at this time, like, it's not that bad. And the thing is you're indoors for an extreme amount of it. Like,
most of the time.
They have these sky bridges. They've got a thing about these sky bridges in Atlanta. It's cool, I guess, but a lot of the buildings are connected to each other via these little tunnels. I think because
tubes.
These little tubes, so I think they really
above the street.
They do not like to go outside, and they really make an effort to stay indoors at all times.
You basically never have to go outside, honestly.
Right? I feel like there's a way that you could really travel from almost every building to the next.
I'm pretty sure you can. If you really worked it, you would never breathe oxygen that wasn't recirculated.
I've never seen when you're walking around downtown, you just look around at some of the random buildings, and there's little tubes that connect them together, and I'm like, it's so funny.
You're like, why do those two buildings need to talk to each other?
And then I
don't know.
start to go down that road in my mind of like the engineering of it, because like, well, buildings sway, and even though you can't see it, but when you connect them with these little tubes, how does that work? Like,
right. Oh, you look at you. You're getting all into it. You're getting deep.
I'm like, this is fascinating to me. Anyway,
no,
so
the weather
you
was
could get
nice.
from like the host hotels, most of them, like without even going outdoors, and
you literally don't have to breathe fresh air for days. You can breathe recirculated air for days.
You're fine.
It's better than Vegas.
Don't let the people saying it's stupid hot in Atlanta on Labor Day weekend scare you. It's really not that bad.
It's really not that bad.
Is all I'm trying to say. Make an effort. Come to Atlanta for DragonCon. At the same time, I'm saying that I don't want it to get too big, so only some of you.
Maybe they just come every other year.
Right. Well, I can continue to come every year without it getting too effing crowded. Still come check it out.
I will say, and this will be my last little commentary on the weekend. It was funny how on Thursday we get here and I'm all excited and we go over to the Marriott. We get in the elevators and it is... The elevators are what the elevators are at the hotels because there's so many people. There's so many people trying to get to different places all at the same time. You have to wait for elevators. And when you get in an elevator, it's a crowded elevator.
Oh, you're going to pack it in. You got to get used to that.
People are touching each other, sneezing and coughing. I mean, it's happening. And you're going to ride down to go up. And you're going to ride up to go down.
You're going to have to.
That's how it is. But on Thursday, it's a bit of a slap in the face because you kind of forget it a little bit. Not really forget, but you're kind of like, oh yeah, this is it. It's like you have to almost like retrain yourself to accept it. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like jumping into the deep end of cold water, like really hard, really fast. Like you're like, oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're in this elevator. This is what's happening.
Right.
And so, yeah, Thursday, it's like you have to go, oh, okay, whew, this is what it is. Get it in your mind. This is how it's going to be all weekend. And then, yeah, by the next day, I'm like, yep, whatever, it's cool, blah, blah, blah. But on Thursday, it like bugs me because you have to like retrain yourself to be accepting of the situation. That's my only thing. Yeah,
when we both experienced that on Thursday, and I started to see already a couple other people that were kind of annoyed by it. And when the doors would open on a new floor and they were quick to go, there's no room in here. I just feel like you guys are going to have to get over this kind of attitude
to get over this
really quickly. And I think a lot of those people probably do, because then they find themselves in this other side of those kind of situations where they're trying to get an elevator, and you get to a point where you're like, I am going to squeeze into that elevator no matter what you guys want. Right. It's going to happen. I've been waiting here for 20 minutes. Like, you get to a point, it's cool. We're all one big happy family. Just squeeze in here, get all
everybody's chummy. Up. Everything's great.
And that is one thing we didn't have to experience much at our hotel this year. It's been pretty amazing.
I will say it's one of the perks.
That has been one of the perks about staying where we're staying. It's been kind of lovely. Get right up to our hotel room. We go right back downstairs. It's been lickety split quick. It's been awesome.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah, it's kind of nice.
But anyways, no, I was just going to say, like, yeah, it's like a retraining of your brain on Friday, on Thursday when you get in the elevator. You're like, oh yeah, this is the elevator situation. But it's at the same time, it's fun. It brings you, it's community. It brings you closer together. It's just kind of part of the thing.
Yeah, but yep, it's over.
It is over.
We get to drive home tomorrow. And it's fun. It not only is DragonCon over, and that's a bummer, but at least for me, in my little con schedule, that this is like the end of the year. Like,
this is the end of the traveling.
I don't have another con that I will probably attend until Memorial Day weekend in Orlando,
right,
for MegaCon, and that's it. Like, it's the break. It's off season time.
That's right.
This is the time I should be preparing for my next DragonCon.
And making costumes.
Making a good costume. But
we're not.
We'll see. We'll see how good I am at that this year. With that, I want to thank everyone for listening. By the way, if you do go to our website to listen to us, you will probably notice that it has gone back to its original form. For a little while there, we had a different website kind of set up for a while. Mm-hmm. But you're back to the old good site, and I'm happy about that. So if you want to stream our show directly from the website, you can do that at flickereffect.com. You can also download the episodes from there. Or you can find links to our various social media accounts, and you can find links to our podcast on some of the other networks we're on, like Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music. I believe there's a link on there for finding us in iHeartRadio. And so check us out there, youtube.com as well.
Maybe for the show, we could put some of the DragonCon links up, like for the actual con itself, to help people.
Yeah, if you go to this post, even in the information in your podcast app, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, you could probably look there, and I'll try to put links in there so you can go to dragoncon.org, dragoncon.tv.
Maybe we could put that fun video of the things in the elevator.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
It's a good video. Everybody would get a kick out of that video.
That one even, I think, went pretty viral for a bit there.
It did.
Like, where people who probably didn't even realize that was from DragonCon have seen it.
It's the best.
It's a good one.
It's a good video. We'll put that one in there, too.
We'll put that one on there.
It's just for funsies.
I'll make that the banner photo. Just make it a GIF.
You should. That would be hilarious.
Anyway.
DragonCon!
So, yeah, check us out at flickereffect.com. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, all that good stuff. You can find the audio version of this on YouTube as well.
We're on all the things.
We're on all the things.
All the things.
Where can they find you on the internet, Michelle?
My big one for me is Instagram. I am Michelle Hillard 2.
The number 2?
The number 2. Michelle Hillard 2, all one word, on Instagram. And that's my big outlet for me. You're a big Twitter person, though.
I am, but I haven't been tweeting a lot lately. But I'm going to make an effort to change that. So, yeah, you can find me on Instagram as well, and on Twitter at David T. Lott.
Yes. And then, of course, we have our Flickr Effect accounts, too. So,
yeah. Like I said, links to those on our website.
We're on all the things.
Please check us out. Hit us up at feedback@flickereffect.com as well, and give us some feedback. We would love to hear back from you. What would you like us to talk about? What do you want from us? We are here for you.
They might want movies or TV commentary next time.
Oh, so I have to go see films.
We're going back to reality.
I can't just keep talking about conventions.
Right.
Anyways. With that said, we haven't attended, before we sign off, one last question I have for you. We haven't attended a lot of other panels or watched a lot of stuff on DragonCon TV for stuff we don't normally watch. But if stepping away from DragonCon this year, just maybe based off of things you hear from other people or stuff you saw on DragonCon TV, is there one show or movie that you find that, what would be the top thing that you would go seek out to watch that you've never watched before? Like that somebody's that I've seen that they're big fans of? I don't know. Yeah. Like maybe you caught a panel for something you don't normally watch and you're like, oh, maybe I should watch that. Or maybe you overheard people talking about it. Or you see people in costumes for something that you're like, man, these people really love this show. Maybe I should watch this show. I think for me, the big one, and I really should watch it. I hear I should watch it. It has a ridiculously large fandom, and it's Doctor Who. Yeah. That one's the one I don't watch. And I say that, and I've watched Doctor Who, but I don't watch. Not caught up on and I guess I should. I don't know if I ever going to. There's so much content out there. I don't know. And the thing is, some people are like, well, you can just pick up with this new Doctor. And I just don't work that way, kids. I have to work from 1 through. And not even saying that, I don't think I have to work from 1 through to this Doctor. What I need to work on is basically, what is it, 8? I think you're right. I think it is Doctor 8. Doctor 8. Which was, what's his name? Was it Chris Eccleston? Yeah. No. Anyways. The Doctor before David Tennant. The Doctor before David Tennant. He only did it for the one season. And that's the season I watched. I saw that season from beginning to end. And I started the David Tennant season right after that, and I have not gone back to it since. And that is nothing against David Tennant. He is great. Just haven't done it. If I were to do it, I would have to start there. And that's a lot of content right now to go back on. That's the problem. Like, if indeed that's how you want to work it, that's a lot. It is. Well, that's the thing. I mean, I see there's, people are like, oh, Babylon 5. And I'm like, you know how much Babylon 5 is out there I have to watch? Catch up with people. Jesus criminy. I think for me, and this is a show I've already wanted to watch, and I just haven't yet, but that's The Expanse. I still really want to watch that show.
There was some chatter about that this weekend. I feel like I've heard that come up a few times.
I've already heard many times that that's a really good show, and I want to check that out. And that's only, I think, like 3 seasons in at this point, so that's not too bad.
That's not too bad.
So.
Ooh, shameless plug for our Ready Player One cosplay this year. We got some serious people checking us out. They knew what we were. It was awesome.
No, it's funny because we did those last year. The trailer had come out, but no movie yet. And obviously the book had been out for a while. And I really was like, oh man, the DragonCon crowd. If any crowd's going to get this, it's DragonCon. I dare half the people here have probably read that book. And yeah, I was surprised like how many people were like, what is happening here? What are you guys doing?
But this year
now the movie's come and gone.
Redemption was ours.
Yes. All that work I did on that over a year ago has finally paid off.
We got recognized. People wanted our photos. I felt like a rock star. I was like, yes, we are killing it. And people loved ours. And there were other people that did cosplay, Ready Player One cosplay similar to ours. But from what I heard, ours was actually the best. Everybody really loves the rigs that you made for us. They just thought we looked really good. They liked our VR headsets. Like people were impressed. It was cool.
Making me feel like I should have worn them more this weekend. Because now I'm like, man, what am I going to do with those now?
We're going to wear them next year.
With that said, I'm David Lott.
And I'm Michelle Hillard.
Thanks for listening.